I love these trucks. They're so much fun. This is the second one that we've built. This is officially a D200 Dodge Crew Cab 4-door pickup. Some people simply refer to them as the Power Wagon, but D200 meant technically it was a 2-wheel drive unit, versus the Power Wagon meant that it was a 4-wheel drive unit. Same body style, same detail, different badging, and obviously different mechanical. But for me, it doesn't really matter. All I want is the funky, cool, so ugly it's pretty body, which then we have at it with all the other details. Now mechanically, we kind of cheat when we build these Dodge Power Wagons, or whatever the hell you want to call them. We've learned to take contemporary Dodge 2500 and 3500 mega cab trucks in their entirety, and then lace the mechanical systems from that modern truck underneath this body. So as opposed to the kind of conventional approach of finding brakes that work, suspension that works, axles that works, chassis, and like trying to piecemeal everything together really nicely, this is a great way to go. It's a cheat. Not only do you take advantage of the hundreds of millions of dollars in engineering that Dodge put forth, or Ram put forth with their trucks, but also serviceability is really a cakewalk, because then the client can reference the VIN number of the modern donor Dodge, and then pretty much all service can be handled that way. You get the modern suspension, you get the modern brake system, the modern fuel system, everything all together with really nice precision. This particular one is set up with the 2500 underpinnings. We're running the 5.7 factory Hemi automatic tranny, and then the part-time shift-on-the-fly transfer case. Axles are all dead stock. We did enhance the suspension with the core off-road suspension with Fox Racing components. We enhanced the output of the motor by working with our friends at Magnuson, and we fit air-to-water intercooled supercharger onto the 5.7, which really helps out. It's a heavy truck. And then, of course, we upgraded the exhaust system, which is now ceramic-coated stainless from MagnaFlow. Wheels on this truck are the Hutchinson run-flat beadlocks, which we powder-coated in the Icon Volcanic Black. Let's see what else. Basically, the shell of the body, the exterior door handles, the seat frames, and the grille, plus the front bumper, are original to the truck. Then everything else we kind of had at it, monkeyed with it. So we redesigned the rear view mirror assemblies, the tailgate latches, the gas cap, the front badging, and all the dash knobs, gauges, gauge panel, steering column, blah blah blah, everything else. Big truck, but quite tight and refined. I think well beyond what you could ever do by trying to modify the original chassis and, you know, adding disc brakes to the original axles. Just couldn't compete with the OEM engineering that went into something like this. But the fun for me in a truck like this is like all the little details, like every knob and fixture, because like when Dodge originally designed these, they weren't like some great design job. It was a work truck. So if they already had a component from another application that they could make work in this, they did. So like the gauges were kind of fugly. The knobs, some were metal, some were plastic, some had this shape, some had that shape. The gas cap was generic. Just all the details, there wasn't any flow in it, because understandably there probably wasn't the budget to geek out on every little detail. Now fortunately for us, for better or worse, depending on how you look at it, the way we do what we do is so cost inefficient that we might as well make that stuff the best it can be. So that was really fun, and we started with one of the dash knobs, and I think it was either the headlight or the wiper knob that we originally started with, and it had a really cool shape. So between that shape and then the original quilted stamped pattern on the door panel inserts on the interior, we basically established the design language for the rest of the truck based on those two elements. So lights, wiper, fan, temp, vent, all the dash switches now took inspiration from that original knob. Then we did the same language on the gas cap. But then on the dash panel, which is like all this stuff I'm describing, CNC'd 6061 billet or stainless, and then it's all nickel plated and then brushed. So like the dash insert panel, the original one was like a piece of black plastic with kind of a cool sweep gauge and then some sub gauges that seem like an afterthought. So we took the panel and we scanned it to get the fit right, but then we took that quilted panel from the door panel insert and applied it to the dash. Then we took all the smaller elements where you would have, you know, we had to be able to show park, reverse, neutral, drive, four-wheel drive, high beams, check engine light, turn signals, and parking brake. So we have this block CNC'd in the dash underneath the speed and tack, and then that has the indicators for all those functions, which is kind of keeps it all smooth. Then also we had to do an overdrive switch, fog light switch, and rear locker switch, and those were done with these nice stainless dash switches with ghost LED. AC, we kind of had to decide early on and make the decision the client's responsibility. You kind of have two choices. You can have big vent whirlybirds that are kind of in your face and they're going to work the best, or you can go more subtle and air more on the aesthetic and keep the dash really smooth and clean, and then hide them under dash. So the AC system that we're running is the Mark IV from Vintage Air, and it puts out a lot of air. So the client was comfortable with going for the subtle approach, which I really like. So we did these steel simple slots 90 underneath the dash, and then those have blind studs in them into which the plastic ducts intended for the defroster ducts go. One thing we didn't anticipate, that we're going to run the normal Icon steering wheel, but with the gauges being so spread out, the diameter of that wheel was such, no matter where you tilted it, it was blocking the gauges. So we worked with that same supplier and used literally a school bus wheel, which is a beast, but it's actually fun to drive and it gives you much better visibility. That has the spun pewter Icon lizard in the dash like always, and then that's an I did it column. So it's collapsible shaft, and then it has the tilt function for better ergonomics. We're running a Prodigy P2 for trailer brake control, class 3 hitch, receiver, 2-inch ball. What else? The Rosen sun visors that we use in a lot of Icons, and then the LEDs that are countersunk into these stainless cast pieces up high, which work really nice. For the seating on this, again, you'll notice that same sort of pattern that was established on the door panel, and we did Morangille's leather. It's a really nice top grain Italian, and then to kind of break it up a little bit, we did the quilted version of that up high on the headliners. So it's not really woven, it's just an impression stamp, but it has a kind of cool effect. And then we picked that up again on the armrests, which originally were plastic, and they still are, but we just hand stitched and wrapped them in those two different leathers to kind of clean it up. Interior door handle as well as window regulator are stock, other than we got rid of the plastic knob and did our own, and then we added some isolators and a sprung bushing because they're notorious rattlers. Other than that, in the dash we're running an iPad mini Retina, and that does navigation, voice to text, pretty much everything you'd expect it to do. And the cool thing with that is now it's a bit one digital audio system. So instead of going digital to analog and losing a bit in translation, we're running the Moscone unit, which is pretty sexy. The only bummer I still got to work on is to figure out how to get that integrated more in the dash, but Until then, we have it somewhat subtly under dash, but somewhere easy to reach for adjustment. So you'll use that to fine-tune your channels and your outputs and your fade and volume and all that crap. But really nice audio system. And then the iPad mount is by Soundman. It's a cool unit. So you push in and slide over to dock, and then if you want to remove it for updates or for security or whatever, you simply reverse the action, and then it kicks out a little bit and you grab it with a hand and off you go. You may notice on the back window, what the hell is that? We worked with a local artist, older lady who's carves and etches glass, and she's super good at it. So the client came to me with the request of, here's the view, he showed me on his iPhone, here's the view from my back porch in Wyoming where this truck will live. Is there any way we can incorporate that in the car? So originally he wanted it sort of two-toned in the body, maybe like a mural effect, and we just couldn't get our heads around it. So plan B was, when I met that lady, I'm like, oh, there you go, let's etch it in the glass. So I reached out to him and said, you know, we rendered it up and said, what do you think about this? And fortunately, that was good for him and good for us. And I don't know, I'm not 100% sold on it. I really dig it in that it's sort of funky vintage, something you'd never see anyone do these days, which I kind of like. And the cool thing is it's just in the glass, so if it's annoying, we cut him an extra panel of glass that's not carved, so easy enough to delete. The rest of the audio system's kind of tricky in how we had to bury everything. So we're running all Focal audio components and JL components, other than that Moscone digital interface unit. So we're running a total of 8 speakers, including the separates in the front. But we crafted panels so that those are all fully integrated, and you really don't see any of them. You can see the ones in the front dog leg, but you'd have to be looking pretty hard. And the system really rocks. It sounds great. The wiper system on these trucks stock sucks, so we worked with Newport Engineering on that and designed a modern system so it has 3 speeds and delay. World of difference over the stocker. You know what's interesting about these Dodge Crew Cab builds is that normally the mechanical engineering complexity of our jobs is what eats most of our time. On these, by taking a modern donor mechanical entity and then engineering the body upon it, that is greatly simplified. But what's complicated on these is the body. Usually these trucks have had their asses kicked in harsh environments. There were work trucks, government, railroad, Air Force, stuff like that. And even if we found one that was brand new, the precision or lack thereof in the body engineering is pretty noteworthy because no one really gave a shit. The whole point was, let's take a production truck and let's modify it, make it so it can fit 6, and that's all their clients wanted. So things like body panel alignment and gaps is really bad. So that and the rust issues that these trucks face, especially the issues related to the body modifications, are significant. So it takes us about 3 months just in bare metal from the time we media blast the body raw, comb through it and rectify all the rust problems, try and correct the engineering detail that caused that problem, like adding a drain hole or creating a single pane where the factory had double layers of metal. And then gaps and alignment, getting that to modern standards. It's a lot of work. But in the end, I think it's worth doing. And I'm happy to be given the challenge. So there you have it. Hopefully you've learned a little bit more about what's up at Icon and how we do what we do. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, give us a call, 818-280-3333. Our website, of course, is icon4x4.com. Instagram is icon4x4, and Facebook is just my name, Jonathan Ward. And thanks again.